Today we're going to have a look at a simple strength workout. Although as endurance athletes, strength isn't our main aim, it will complement the rest of our training. A pull-up bar and a TRX suspension trainer are useful during this workout, but if you don't have either of those, we will show you how to improvise later on in the video. As always, before working out, you should thoroughly warm up. In this example, I'm going from downward dog and then straight into Cobra. This gets all of my joints moving and then ready to go. When performing downward dog, your legs and arms should be as straight as possible and your head should be directly between your arms in the downward position. For Cobra, you also want to keep your arms nice and straight and then look up at the sky and feel a nice stretch in your upper back. You then want to point your toes. This has an added benefit of mobilising your ankles as you've just taken them through a full range of motion. Flow between these two exercises, aim for about 10 reps. And as you go through the set, you'll probably find that you'll gain extra mobility as your muscles warm up. The next exercise in our warm-up sequence is Sumo Squats. Take a nice wide stance and drop down into a squat position, keeping your torso as upright as possible. Keep your eyes looking forward and use your arms for balance if necessary. Slowly work into a full range of motion and remember to initiate a squat with a hip hinge. This will help with control, balance and depth. If your flexibility would allow, squat below parallel. That means that your hips will be slightly lower than your knees in the bottom position. Our first exercise is the pull-up. It mainly works the upper back muscles. These are particularly important for propulsion during swimming. From a dead hang, contract the muscles of your upper back and slide your shoulder blades downwards. Whilst keeping your eyes forward, pull down with your elbows until your chin passes the bar. Then reverse the motion and repeat. Our next exercise is the body row. It works similar muscles to pull-ups, but from a slightly different angle. The main point here is to pull your elbows back behind your body until your chest meets your hands at the top position. You can have your legs either straight or bent to vary the difficulty of the exercise. If you do not have a pull-up bar or a TRX available, then you can improvise. As shown here, tie a large knot into the end of a bedsheet. And then drape it over the top of an open door. Then put it closed. You will then be able to gather the bedsheet into a kind of rope. But please make sure that you are pulling in the direction that will shut the door rather than open it, otherwise you could injure yourself if the door opens. You can perform variations of the exercises I've already shown you in this video. And probably they are a good place to start for beginners, because you can vary the difficulty of the exercises by increasing the distance from your hand to the anchored point of the bedsheet. As you can see here with body rows, you can also try a one-armed variation. As with normal body rows, the idea is to keep your body in a straight line and pull your elbows back until your chest meets your hand. This cue helps you to emphasize the use of your lats rather than your biceps, which is the aim of this exercise. This variation of a pull-up is great for beginners, as you can assist your upper body with your legs. As you get stronger, you can reduce the contribution your legs make, and you can also move on to a one-handed variety. The main points to remember about this exercise are to pull down with your elbows until your eyes come to the same level as your hands. Use your legs just enough to get each rep done, and this will build a lot of strength in your upper back. Once you get proficient at this exercise, you can move on to full pull-ups. Our next exercise is the press up. It works all the pushing muscles of the upper body, including your pecs, your shoulders, and your triceps. Start in a plank position with your hands just wider than shoulder width. Keep the pit of your elbow facing forward and then lower your body until your chest almost touches the ground. If you find the full press up too difficult, you can perform a kneeling press up instead. Maintain the same straight body as with the normal press up, but pivot from your knees instead. If the normal press up isn't challenging enough for you, then give the Pseudo Planche press up a try. From a full press up position, gradually work your feet forwards until the exercise becomes difficult enough that you can perform your target rep range. This is called the shrimp squat. It's a great unilateral leg exercise. It will build both strength and balance, which is important for cycling and running. Stand on one leg and use your arms for balance. Use your non-working leg for very slight assistance during the exercise, and as you progress, you'll be able to keep this more and more off of the floor. As with most squatting exercises, try to control the movement with your hips. Rather than thinking about bending your knee, try to shift your hips back as you squat down, maintaining a fairly upright torso, and lean forward only enough to keep balance. If you become very strong at this exercise, you can increase the load by using hand weights. Alternatively, you can make the exercise easier by standing on a tennis ball to assist your working leg. This is also useful if you find the balance very difficult, and then you can move on to the full exercise later on. As with the previous exercise, it's important to initiate the squat from the hips. This will activate your glutes more effectively and protect your knees. This exercise is called the single leg deadlift. It is another great unilateral leg exercise, but this time it focuses more on the hamstrings and the glutes, as well as the lower back. This exercise can be done with or without weights. You simply need to hinge or seesaw from your hips while standing on one leg. If you are using weights for this exercise, place the weight close to the arch of your working foot and then pick it up with the hand of the non-working side. Try to keep your pelvis level laterally, as there is a tendency for your non-working hip to creep up in the air. Throughout the entire exercise, try to maintain a neutral spine. Imagine you are standing tall as you seesaw forward and then come back up. Maintain a slightly soft knee throughout, and as you reach the bottom of the motion, allow your knee to bend. Depending on the flexibility of your hamstrings, you may need to bend your knee slightly more than this example. Our final exercise is the L-sit. It's an extremely effective core exercise. This exercise is very taxing, so you may need to start with a slightly easier variation. With straight arms, support your body weight and raise your body off the floor by trying to push the ground away from you. Maintain tension in your abs and then think about extending your legs forward rather than lifting them up. Sometimes this helps with the exercise. Alternatively, you can support your body between two chairs. This makes the exercise easier as you can hold your legs at a lower angle, and as you get stronger you can lift them higher. Or, as I'm doing here, you could use the toe touch technique, where you release some of the tension from your core by gently touching your big toes to the ground. Another variation is the L-sit tuck, where you don't extend your legs out in front of you. The aim here is to hold the position for at least 20 seconds. Once you achieve that, you can move on to a harder variation. If you can already hold an L-sit for 20 seconds, then you could try and hold it for a longer period of time, up to about a minute. The structure of the workout is on screen now. You can perform the exercises in any order you like, but I would recommend that you do the L-sits at the end, as a fatigued core could make a back injury more likely when performing the other exercises.